In this day and age, in the nanny police state that we find ourselves living in, you have to be prepared for any given tactical operation situation you might find yourself in. Like, suppose, a socialist democrat is trying to take your guns away. I mean, really, what part of shall not be infringed do you not understand? But you have to be prepared. You have to have the right tools for the job. And I find that it's important to have the correct tactical equipment if you find yourself in a dangerous location like, say, an indoor retail facility environment. So, here is the tactical gear of choice. The first thing you need is your tactical communications device, in this case, a BlackBerry Research in Motion communications device that goes in this handy sheath. You also need to have your tactical Swiss Army multi-tool, which does all sorts of things for adjusting your tactical combat instruments. Very crucial for those in-the-field adjustments, you know. And then you've got to have some knives. But before we get to the knives, there's one thing that I have to mention that you need to have, and that is a tactical flashlight. Very important. Okay, so for your typical tactical EDC, you need a few things. And there are a few important considerations. One of them is the quickness of the draw, and you need to have your primary blade for that. And for me, there's no replacement for the Spyderco Endura 4 with an Emerson opener. From closed to in your hand, open and locked instantly. A dangerous weapon for those indoor retail facilities. You also need to have some backup blades. So I like to have a manual flipper in my other primary draw pocket, a Kershaw groove. And then you go to your other blades, which are fixed blades. In this case, I like to carry my Kershaw boot knife IWB inside waistband for a nice quick reverse draw, which is better for thrusting motions. Now, one of the bad things about this knife is that it lacks the tactical blood grooves and anti-reflective coating that's ideal for an indoor retail facility environment, but this'll do. You also need a nice big honkin' lockback in case you need to cut through some bones, which is where your Schrade SG7 comes into play. Fantastic bone cutting knife. Okay, now suppose you're in a situation where that's just not enough. You've also got to have some more things on you. So, you've got your cargo pocket here with a nice big tactical Kershaw junkyard dog for stabbing and slicing. And you've also got to have your small, compact, assisted open knife for those quick draw situations where a regular draw just isn't enough. Now, I find that it's important with any instrument that you have to carry some backups. And in that case, you can never have enough backups for your folding knives. For your tactical folding knives. In this case, we've got a nice bird crossbill, which is great for tearing through flesh or envelopes. And you've got a CRKT Alaska Guana, which is great for piercing skin or envelopes. And the ultimate tactical operations weapon. This is great for when you're really on the ground wrestling with some sheeple or civilians, is the Gerber pear frame, half serrated, also for cutting bones and flesh. Now, I might have forgotten something as of course, if, say, your primary draw hand gets cut off in the middle of a battle in an indoor retail facility, you need an ambidextrous knife that you can safely operate reliably. And for that, you need a Spyderco Delica. What have I forgotten here? I think I've got everything. Oh, no, and you also need your tactical black-handled anti-reflective coated bird Cara. This is primarily for stabbing, slashing, and cutting. And last but not least, when you're really down to your last straw, you need your cross-draw fixed blade in its tactical carry holster, a CRKT Dogfish. This is a dangerous weapon right here, very tactical. And you notice that it's a skeletonized construction, which lets the blood and guts really drain through it very easily in case you're doing a lot of stabbing and tearing and disemboweling, which is really important. And that concludes our demonstration on the tactical preparedness. However, there's one thing that you cannot forget in your tactical program, and that is to always have a backup to your backups to your backup. And in this case, I like to carry a small blade in my sock, which in this case is a super tactical Swiss Army A-Lock Solo, which is great for stabbing, slashing, and cutting. which is all things that, God forbid, you'd never have to do on a daily basis. But if you follow these simple steps to self-defense and protecting yourself from the police and nanny socialist state we live in today, you should be fine.